After I paid for mom's surgery, my sister told everyone I barely helped. When mom posted a photo thanking her, I just commented, glad she finally covered the $47 taxi. The notification lit up my phone screen with an innocent chime, the kind you hear 100 times a day and ignore. But this one felt different. It was a cold Tuesday in November, the sky, the color of dishwater, and I was sitting in my tiny apartment, trying to summon the energy to celebrate 6 months of sobriety. 6 months of fighting tooth and nail for a life that felt like my own. The chime was from Facebook, a platform I mostly use to keep tabs on distant relatives. A photo tag. My mother, Carol, had posted something. My thumb hovered over the notification, a familiar knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. With my family, especially with my mother and my sister, Jenna, no news was usually good news. I tapped it open. The picture was of my mom, sitting up in a hospital bed. She looked frail, smaller than I remembered, but she was smiling. The harsh fluorescent light of the room caught the silver in her hair. Beside her, beaming as if she'd just won an Olympic medal, was Jenna, my older sister. She had one arm wrapped possessively around mom's shoulders, her other hand holding up a bouquet of garish, oversized lilies. The caption was what sent a shard of ice through my veins. It was written by my mother, but the syrupy, self-aggrandizing tone was pure Jenna. So grateful for my angel daughter, Jenna, it read. I truly don't know what I would have done without her. Through this whole scary ordeal, she has been my rock, my provider, and my savior. Thank you for making this life-saving surgery possible. You are the most generous person I know. My breath caught in my throat. I read it again and again. My provider, my savior, making this surgery possible. The words swam before my eyes, hot and blurry. My savings account, which I had spent the last 5 years building with painstaking discipline, was now a ghost town, a flat, desolate landscape of just a few $100s. The rest of it, a staggering $87,000, had been wired directly to the hospital's billing department 2 weeks ago to cover the open-heart surgery my mother had desperately needed, an experimental procedure her insurance had refused to cover. I had done it without hesitation. I had liquidated stocks. I had cashed out retirement savings I'd started in my 20s. I had done it because she was my mother and she was dying. And here was Jenna, who had contributed nothing, not a single penny. She had shown up at the hospital for the photo op, clutching flowers she probably put on a credit card she'd have trouble paying off. She had offered emotional support, which in Jenna's world meant fluttering around the waiting room, accepting condolences from relatives as if she were the one undergoing trauma, and complaining about the quality of the coffee. She had been a nuisance, a performative martyr whose only actual contribution was the stress she added to an already unbearable situation. And now, she was being publicly crowned a saint. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through the comments. They were a sickening cascade of praise for Jenna. You're an amazing daughter, Jenna, from Aunt Carol. Your mother is so lucky to have you. From a cousin I hadn't seen in a decade. A true angel on earth. Each comment was a fresh stab. They were celebrating a fiction, a complete and utter lie. And in doing so, they were erasing me. They were erasing my sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the terror of watching my life savings vanish in a single transaction. They were erasing the fact that I was the one who had sat with the doctors, who had signed the forms, who had held my mother's hand until they wheeled her away into the operating room. Rage, white hot and pure, surged through me. It was a familiar feeling, one I had spent the last 6 months learning to manage in recovery. My sponsor David always told me to play the tape forward. What happens if you give in to the anger? What happens if you let it consume you? In the past, it would have led me to a bottle. It would have led me to oblivion, a temporary silence from the screaming injustice in my head. But I couldn't do that now. I wouldn't. Sobriety had given me clarity. And in that clarity, I saw Jenna's manipulation for what it was. A pattern, a lifelong campaign to diminish me.
Full story on channel link below.